What have you learned this past year? How are you applying it to your music career? What difference is it making for you? Have you gotten any breakthrough results? That's what we're going to be looking at in this episode of the New Music Industry Podcast.
You're listening to the New Music Industry with David Andrew Weeb.
Hey, it's David Andrew Weeb. Welcome to the New Music Industry Podcast. In the coming weeks and months, I'm going to be spending some time talking about my best-selling book, The Music Entrepreneur Code. Obviously, there is a reason for this. I'm not going to talk about what's coming just yet, but just know that something exciting is coming. That's what I will say. So unless there's an interview or some announcements to make, and there will be a few of those, especially regarding Elite Players All Access Pass, basically, we're going to be spending time talking about the Music Entrepreneur Code. If you don't have your copy yet, you can go to musicentrepreneurhq.com/buy code, and it's available as a paperback or Kindle. That's going to be a really handy resource for you as we go through these episodes, all right? The other thing that you're going to need is you're going to need your notebook and your pen. So get your notebook and pen out. If you're listening to this while jogging or driving or grocery shopping or whatever, thank you. That's great. You're not going to be able to write anything down now. Maybe you could write some stuff down when you get home later. But for the rest of you who are at home listening, get your pen and notebook out. Let's participate and create together, because that's where the real magic happens. There's not a lot of magic that happens just reading or just listening or just watching. We become spectators, and the world's designed in such a way that we sort of become spectators, become too afraid to raise our hands and say yes and participate and be a part of the conversation, even when we have something valuable to add. And I've been that guy, trust me. There's been so many situations where I really had something amazing to contribute, but because others kept talking and talking and talking and talking, and I felt like I couldn't get a word in edgewise, I said nothing. Now, that's completely appropriate in certain circumstances. Sometimes the best strategy is to listen to others, because listening to others really contributes to them in a big way. But in situations where you have something to say, something incredibly valuable to contribute, we want to get into that mode of actually participating in life, not just reading, not just listening, not just watching, but actually actively engaging. This is where the magic is. If you've listened to the podcast and you've had breakthroughs, that's wonderful, but you're going to get so much more out of these if you start participating, start being our participant. This is your podcast. Make notes, make a whole mess of notes. That would be my recommendation. That would be my suggestion. If you're not in the habit of doing that already, bust out your notebook, because it's going to benefit you in your music career in a big way. If you have a whiteboard, that works great too. I love whiteboards. But if you don't have one, then bust out a journal or a notebook and start writing lists and diagrams and mind maps and goals. Make a whole mess of notes. Start writing in it every single day if you can. Just start charting your course. Start thinking about things. Start thinking about how you can get to where you want to go. And if there's anything else that's sort of getting in the way of you getting there, David, I'm really dealing with this right now. There's a divorce, or, I have a child that's really sick, or there's this situation in my family. Hey, I got you. That's also a perfect opportunity to start journaling and talking about your feelings and getting them out onto paper and having them reflected at you so that you can see what it is exactly that you're feeling and what might be there for you. Let's get into the questions. I have a few questions for you this episode, and they're all pertaining to the Music Entrepreneur Code. But even if you don't have the book, look for ways to participate. Look for ways to engage in these questions. Look for ways to come up with answers. If it's completely not applicable to the Music Entrepreneur Code or the book, or you don't even know about it yet, then just apply this to whatever you do know, whether that's our blog or the podcast you're listening to right now or a video that you've watched, all right? First question, what did you get out of the Music Entrepreneur Code? What did you get out of it? What came out of your reading of the book? What did you see for yourself? Second question, what did you learn from the Music Entrepreneur Code? It sounds like the first question a little bit, but what did you actually learn? What is something that you could recite at a moment's notice without even going into the book and looking at what's in there? What is something that you identified in the book? 3, what did you try after reading the Music Entrepreneur Code? What is some tactic or strategy or framework or methodology that you tried? Doesn't mean you went and did the whole thing or applied it long term or followed through on it diligently. It just means you tried it. You gave it a shot. What is something you tried after reading the Music Entrepreneur Code? Next question. What's something you learned in the Music Entrepreneur Code that you're too scared to try? So was there a framework, a tactic, a strategy, a methodology, an action step that really scared you that you didn't do, that you didn't try? It's not about making yourself wrong. Just identify something that you were too scared to try. Next question. What did you apply to your career after reading the Music Entrepreneur Code? What's something that you read and actually went, yeah, I'm going to go and apply that to my music career right now, and actually did it? Doesn't matter whether it was successful or if it worked for you or didn't work for you. That's not the question. The question is, what did you apply after reading the Music Entrepreneur Code? Next question. What small results did you get from reading the Music Entrepreneur Code? What's something small? Could be as simple as, hey, I made a to-do list, or I made a goal list, or I registered my business. Could be anything like that. What is a small result? Because I guarantee there's something if you took action on the book. What is a small result you got from reading the book? And final question, what big results or breakthroughs did you get from reading the Music Entrepreneur Code? What's something big? What's a breakthrough? Did you have any breakthroughs with the Music Entrepreneur Code? And if you didn't, what was missing? What was missing? And if you did this exercise, I would love for you to send me your responses to these questions to musicentrepreneur@gmail.com. That's a separate email from ones we use for everyday communication or direct access to me. That's when we check occasionally about the podcast and other business matters. So that's musicentrepreneur@gmail.com. So if you enjoyed this episode and you don't already have your copy of the Music Entrepreneur Code, I want to invite you to get yours today at musicentrepreneur.hq.com/buy code. That's BUYCODE. My books are high value and easy to read and are worth considerably more than we're asking. Honestly, if I consider the time that went into it and the value and experience packed into it, I'm basically giving my books away. So get your copy at musicentrepreneur.hq.com/buy code and come ready with a pen and notebook in hand for the next episode. This has been episode 246 of the New Music Industry Podcast. I'm David Andrew Wiebe, and I look forward to seeing you on the stages of the world.
Thank you for listening. Music in this episode was brought to you by Brian Young. Wherever you're listening to this right now, please consider leaving a 5-star review and comment to help us get the word out about the podcast.